Today, porn addiction isn't a willpower problem, it's a nervous system problem. Welcome to Sacred Grip, a podcast equipping men to conquer addiction and overcome inner struggles through physical, mental, and spiritual disciplines so you can become a man of honor and integrity. I'm Jason.Lyle. Now let's get to work. Today you'll learn porn addiction is a nervous system regulation problem. Your body moves toward relief before your brain thinks. And daily regulation practices replace the addiction loop. This episode is brought to you by Oak Haven Diagnostics. What's up, my dude? Welcome back to the Sacred Grip podcast. All right, here's the deal. So with porn addiction, your drug rides around inside your body. So we have to learn how to channel the energy and not repress it. Because the thing about porn addiction is it's wired down inside of you, and you have both the drug and the junkie riding around inside your body, right? So you have memories. You have also biology that you're fighting against. So on this episode, I really wanted to pick apart porn addiction a little bit, and I want us to start with talking about nervous system regulation. Now, I talk all the time about nervous system regulation and different levels of engagement, but today I want to talk very specifically about the brain-body connection, because here's the thing about porn addiction. That initial reaction or that initial feeling that moves us toward pornography is something that is happening in our body. It is a biological response, but it is also a very natural response. You were made to procreate, and there's no shame in masturbation. There's no shame in, relieving something that you have made naturally inside of you. But here's what begins to happen. When we get addicted to the dopamine release of seeing the pornography, we get addicted to the dopamine release of having an orgasm. We create ways in our life that we're blowing our life up by using these different tools. And then what begins to happen many times is we stop being able to perform for our partner. We stop being able to achieve an erection. We have all these problems because we're wiring our brain in a way that is opposite of our natural way of release. Okay. So when we talk about having this impulse in our body, this biological response, very natural response, it is a feeling that happens in our body, and it sends that signal up into the brain. Now, as we talk about over and over through a myelination process of, using pornography over and over and over, and many times that having to get stronger and stronger in the type of pornography that you're looking at, we start to myelinate this process into our autonomic nervous system. And you've heard me talk about this before. It becomes it becomes an automatic response. So we have a feeling, we act, we open up the phone, we click on the site. Next thing we know, we've gone down the porn hole. So what I want to try to do for you today is to teach you how to change that direction of the thought, of the line of thought, by hacking into the autonomic or the nervous system and getting it to regulate. And we can slow this process down, because the truth is your body moves toward relief before your brain can start to think, right? As you have that impulse in your body, and as soon as you do, you start to move toward the wired response. Think just like tying your shoes, right? If I asked you to tie your shoes, you would just lean over and tie your shoes. You wouldn't think about it because you don't have to think about it. That behavior is wired into your autonomic nervous system. You know how to automatically tie your shoes. So when your body gives this impulse, this biological need to achieve an orgasm by, you feel need that you have this need, your body moves toward relief before your brain thinks. And that's that thing that happens for you. You already have your phone in your hand, whatever, how that looks for you is already happening. Now, once again, that's a very natural thing. But when we have wired it into ourselves in the way that many of us have that this is an addiction, we're also using that to soothe something in our body. And that's where your therapist and your 12 steps and all those things come in, because you're trying to get to the root of the addiction. But I once had a sponsor tell me that a sex addiction is like an alcoholic walking around with a shot of vodka in their mouth, but they can't swallow it. That's a very accurate description, because once again, you walk around with your drug in your body. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to retrain ourselves to feel that impulse and to stop and do something with that energy before we act upon it. Okay. And this is what makes porn addiction so hard to stop, is because it is wired inside of our body. And once again, the drug and the dealer or the addiction live in our body. Okay. So let's talk about daily regulation practices to replace the addiction loop. Now, I talk a whole lot on here about, cold water, breath work, yoga, meditation, but I want to talk very specifically about the breath work. And before I go into this, I've led this on the podcast before, but I also want you to know, if you'll email me, if you'll drop down in the show notes, you'll find all my contact information, or at least the website. I think, my email's in the show notes. Email me. I will send you a recording of me leading 3 rounds of the breath work. So you'll kind of have a tool in your hand. Just a gift from me. Okay. But what happens in the breath work is I take 30 deep breaths, as deep as I can. I use my mouth. I don't breathe through my nose, and I'm just taking those as deep as I can. Now let the air fall out. This is called Tumo breathing, made popular by Wim Hof. Now, I take 30 of those breaths, and on breath number 30, I let it out and I hold. And I hold my breath. And eventually what begins to happen is your fight or flight response says, hey, dude, we need to breathe. Now, when that happens, you can tap into your logical mind. And you can say, I just took 30 deep breaths. I think I have enough oxygen to stay just a little bit longer. And then the amygdala, the survival brain, might say again, hey, dude, we need to breathe. And you might go, I think I can stay a little bit longer, until eventually your amygdala wins. You have to breathe. Take that great big breath. You hold for 15 seconds because you're rewarding the nervous system. You're letting it know that you're aware that it needs that oxygen. You let it go. Then you start another round. Now, what you're doing is you're learning how to negotiate with the automatic response, breathing, with a rational thought, I have plenty of oxygen in my body. And I'm going to talk about this on Gritty Wednesday. But once you start to create that every single day, you're doing it every single day. You're practicing it every single day. You're building reps. You're giving yourself resilience. You're building up this tool. You start to notice that when that porn urge hits, you can go, wait a minute. That's that thing Jason's talking about. And you can sit with it and you can let it go. Now, I'm going to talk on Gritty Wednesday about how to integrate all this into your everyday life. But for right now, this is about maintaining a day-to-day practice that will start to give you power over your porn addiction. And here's one thing I will say, dude. When you mess up, it is not the end of the world. Forgive yourself and move forward. We are trying to make incremental moves here. We are trying to move the needle in an incremental way, not huge sweeping. I'm never doing it again. We are looking for daily progress, to where if maybe before you were going to the porn 3 times a day, if you go to 2 times a day, 1 time a day, maybe you're going 5 times a week, you go to 3 times, maybe you had, 5, 6, 7 times a day, and you go down to 3 or 4 times a day. We're looking for incremental process, because the nervous system does not, I'll just put it to you this way. It took you years to get to where you are. There's no way to turn it around and reverse it immediately. Okay. I would also encourage you to get in an SA meeting somewhere, or a SLAA meeting. If you are struggling with sex addiction, you can do those online. You can do those in person. You can go on the website and find all that, because you have to also get at what the root is. I'm giving you tools to control it, but you got to get to what the root is. Okay. So today you learned Porn addiction is a nervous system regulation problem. Your body moves toward relief before your brain thinks, and daily regulation practice replace the addiction loop. All right, my dude, thank you for listening. You are appreciated for all the support that you give me just through listening to this podcast. You can drop down in the show notes. You can book a free consultation call with me. I will help you design a practice that'll get you headed on the right road. I am a nervous system coach, but I am not on here to try to get clients. I'm here to try to get information out. I will help you any way I can. Click on it, book a call. Would love to talk to you. All right. Our closing sponsor is no other than the Chuck Swenson. Chuck runs Chick-fil-A Griffin down in Griffin, Georgia. One of the finest Chick-fil-A's that I have ever been to, and I've been to a lot of them across the country. So if you find yourself down in the Griffin area, go by and see Chuck, the Chicken Man Swenson. All right, my dude. I hope you have a great week. I will see you on Gritty Wednesday.